Hey everybody, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Mike Catalana along with Dan Fetes. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we thank everybody for doing that and being with us as we're back out here in Kansas City again. Dan, back in Kansas City. I think people forget about the game they actually played in Orchard Park because no fans were at that game. It was during COVID. And late in that year, playing out here, half filled. They lose in the championship game. Last year, beat them in the regular season.
Left the field dancing on the sidelines. Was more than just a game.
Yes, thinking that they had a really good shot to get the playoff game at home. That didn't happen, and then 13 seconds, and we know all that happened with that. We've talked a little bit about that. We're going to get to some other stuff, but the atmosphere here is kind of cool. I think it's got a similarity to back at home.
I think it does. It's an older stadium that allows the fans to be on top of the players. This isn't SoFi Stadium. This isn't Jerry's World. This is an intimate setting where fans are really engaged. They have an impact on the game. I remember last year Stephon Diggs talking about how it gets so loud here you can't hear yourself think. And he goes, you kind of have to block everything out. So they enjoy having it. The Bills know what the Chiefs fans will bring here.
Hey, Von Miller likes it.
Von Miller likes everything.
He does, but he does say playing here, and he played here a lot when he was with the Broncos. They would play in the division every year. He said this is what the NFL is all about, and I kind of agree with that. These type of atmospheres and facilities that you have, even though you got the new stadiums and all that is cool, this is a real home field advantage.
It really is, just like the Bills have become in Orchard Park. I don't think it's always been that home field advantage in Orchard Park. You've always said that used to be where motivation goes to die. It's not that case anymore. It's maybe over the last 6-7 years, but this place also has.
Well, it helps to have an advantage when you have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen as your quarterback. Let's start talking about the 5 big storylines coming into this game. It's obvious about the quarterbacks. We know that. We expect them to both be great as they usually are. The Chiefs secondary is hurting. Fenton is out. McDuffie not going to be activated. Their number 1 pick. They are shorthanded, really shorthanded. And Gabe Davis ain't sneaking up on anybody coming out here this year.
No, the run that he has been on since the playoff game, just incredible. Looks healthy. I think that was the big thing we kept saying was that he needed to be healthy. But when he is healthy and adds an extra element, a big play threat. He's not a burner down the field, but Mike, he just has that knack for big plays.
Yeah, well, he did it out here with the 4 touchdowns. He's coming off the great game against Pittsburgh. So if you are Kansas City, you've got to be thinking, honestly, you're probably thinking of Gabe Davis as right there with Stephon Diggs. And you made an interesting point when we were talking about Diggs. As great as he is, and even consistent as he is, the games against the Chiefs have not been his best.
No, and we've talked about, like I said, you can mention Gabe Davis. You can mention Josh Allen and his performances. You can talk about Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Over these last 4 meetings where it's kind of become this rivalry, and all of these players have had their imprints and their big moments. Stephon Diggs in the 4 games has never had more than 77 yards against the Chiefs. To me, it just feels like it's one of those, it's his time, that he wants to have that impact. Well, I'm not saying he didn't, wasn't happy for Gabe Davis. That's not what I'm saying. I think he just wants to be the storyline because he's a competitor and wants to have an impact on this game.
Yeah, and it will help him if there's more attention on Gabe Davis, and I think there has to be if you're the Chiefs. Dawson Knox has had big games here, really big last year, and helped them with big plays down the field, something we haven't seen out of the tight end so far this year, so we'll be looking to that. Another storyline is, I said about the quarterbacks. So a big thing is, how do you play Mahomes? Because just like with the Bills with Allen, you pick your poison on what you're going to do. But one thing that does not seem to work against Patrick Mahomes is sending extra players, sending the blitz, trying to pressure him that way. He's so good on the move. He's so good finding his receivers. How does Leslie Frazier play against him coming up tomorrow?
I think you're relying on Von Miller. I think this is one of those games where talk about players that want to make their impact on this rivalry. Bills didn't have Von Miller the last 4 meetings. Mike, the stat that you had was that if they blitz 15% or more?
41-7 in those 48 games. And we saw the regular season game here a year ago where Mahomes was confused. And the Bills play a lot of zone. This year, especially without Trey White on the field, it's a lot of zone. No blitzing or limited to no. I don't think he blitzed at all in that game.
They didn't blitz in the regular season game that they beat him, and it was a testament to Leslie Frazier, and he remembers the defensive line saying, like, thanks a lot, coach, appreciate it, trust us to get the job done. In that game, Greg Rousseau had a good game. The defense had a pick 6. But then they went back into the playoff game, and you give Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes enough looks, they're able to figure things out. So that's my concern, is that I don't know what else Sean McDermott, Leslie Frazier can throw at Mahomes to confuse him.
Yeah,
they got to come up with something.
I think it's going to be a big part of how this game plays out. Kansas City doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore. They have good weapons, and we're going to get to their main weapon. But it's a little different when you had the fear of Tyreek Hill. I'm telling you, the Bills are happy taking the field tomorrow and not having to worry about Tyreek Hill.
The Bills would rather face 7 Juju Smith-Schusters than 1 Tyreek Hill.
And they'd rather face Tyreek Hill twice a year with Miami than face him with Kansas City. That is a fact. And maybe they won't tell you that. We'll tell you that because we know they've been obsessed with him. The guy they need to be obsessed with is Travis Kelce. Now, I was going through more numbers here, and not in the individual stats, but they have shut down tight ends this year. Higbee, Hooper, Gesicki, Andrews, Freiermuth, nominal impact in the games. And these are all talented tight ends that have success in the league. This guy's not like the rest of them.
No, and not only that, he can impact the game even without racking up big yards. We saw it on Monday night. 5 catches for 4 touchdowns. It was like the Jerome Bettis-esque game where he had negative yards but 3 touchdowns. That is what Travis Kelce can do, because even when you contain him, he's still such a threat, not only in the red zone, but his connection with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, how do you play against Kelce? Now, I think Von Miller mentioned it sometimes where you got to maybe get a body on him. You know, we've seen that happen. We saw it happen at the end of the playoff game in the regulation. I won't mention how much time was left, but in that game where the Bills put their regular D-line, they were rushing 4 at the end of the game, and Kelce is there, and no one touches him off the line of scrimmage. And sometimes I wonder, slow him down, get him out of his rhythm, do something to change things up. We saw it happen with the Raiders at the end of that game against the Chiefs. There was a little bit of contact there. The 2 wide receivers run into each other. I'm not saying he's going to be running into his receivers. I'm saying is when Kelce gets a free release, he's so good at finding those spots in the zone. Somebody's got to put a body on him at least to get him out of there. Because, again, you're not worried about Tyreek Hill in the back.
Easier said than done to jam Travis Kelce at the line.
It is, but I'm not talking about shutting him down at the line.
But I don't know if that's Matt Milano's forte, and I don't know who does that, whether that is Taron Johnson or somebody getting...
How about Greg Rousseau? How about Von Miller?
Okay, I like that.
I'm going to call Leslie up and tell him that's my idea. He's going to say, Mike...
He's watching. Leslie's watching.
He would say, well, that's a good question, Mike. Even if it was the dumbest question in the world, Leslie Frazier would say, oh, that's a very good question. That's interesting. Yeah, we got it. One thing he didn't really want to talk about was 13 seconds. He's past that. But I have a guy in mind who's not past it. I don't think he's past it. Because it was back in training camp when Jordan Poyer first came back, from the offseason, first time he talked to us. And I asked him about 13 seconds. I'm like, have you watched the game? Have you watched it? And he said, yeah, I watched it. I think he said I watched the NFL Films version of it. I saw it. And then he told us he went on Tyreek Hill's podcast, and Tyreek Hill started out by and giving him a hard time. Jordan Poyer's a great player, great impactful player. In that game, Hill beats him on before the 13 seconds on that slant where he gets free, and then all he do is take that one step forward and he's gone. Okay, he's not here. But at the end of the game, Kelce gets free, and this is, it's Poyer and Hyde. Well, Micah had his surgery. He's not playing. I think Jordan Poyer carries that game with him when he takes field. He's going to say no. Correct. He's going to say it's not. I think he takes that with him.
And it's also telling because we've talked all week, about guys that weren't here last year. It's been like, this is a new team. But you make the good point that Jordan Poyer was here and could have had his hands all over that game and could have been a difference maker. So I think a lot of these times you don't need extra motivation in a game like this against the Chiefs, but I think it's in the back of Poyer's head.
Yeah, because it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, come on. We need to stop with all the nonsense. I even asked some of the players, are they your biggest rival? Well, they are the Bills' biggest rival because nobody in the AFC East is of the Bills' level. Miami beat them, tough game with all the other stuff. New England can play some defense. Jets are up and coming. Is the only team that's on their level. They play them now for the 4th time in 2 years. 5th time, yes, if you go back to, from the 20. So 5th time, it's like they're a rival. And Kansas City thinks about the Bills the Bills think about the Chiefs, right? You got to win
100%.
your division, but they think about it.
Sean McDermott, 1-3 against Andy Reid.
Yeah, there's our 5th one right there. For Sean McDermott, way that game ended, it's not just losing when you had a chance to win the Super Bowl, get to the championship, be at home, all those things. It's losing to Andy Reid. You know, he's now 1-3 against Andy.
Yeah.
And look, they outcoached Andy in the game here in the regular season.
Yep.
And they had Andy Reid beaten in the game here.
Yep.
And they couldn't come through it. Now, again, this game doesn't get you in the Super Bowl on Sunday. But I think for Sean McDermott, who I think has had a really good year, situational coaching this year, with all the injuries and everything else, he wants this one bad tomorrow.
Not only that, it's the fact of, he says it's not the same as when he first played Andy Reid against the first time, but it in my opinion, it continues to grow. Like as the matchup continues to get bigger, like they're probably going to play again, and that one is going to be even bigger. So I think that this, not rivalry, respect for his former mentor continues to climb, and I don't think he wants it to keep tallying up 1-4, 1-5.
I'll even take out that they have such a relationship for years.
Yeah.
Let's forget about that. Let's just say, coach the Chiefs,
yeah.
you coach the Bills.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you got to do in this case, you know? And you look around the league. You got like Shanahan and McVay, and Shanahan's got all these wins against him. McVay beat him in the playoffs and won his Super Bowl. Like, you got to win the big game against him.
Sean have 2 wins against him? Did he beat him in 2017?
Oh, yeah. That was the pre.
I
You're
was-
right.
I was just going to say, somebody's going to comment.
No, you're right. They won that game in
Kansas
2017.
Tyrod.
Taylor, big interception late. For the Bills. And yes, Trey. And a field goal to take the lead from Ryan Lindell? No.
Stop your comments.
Who
I know
was
you
it?
were going to comment.
You're right. Sometimes I almost forget about this team.
2019.
And 17 was such an impactful year. You are 100% right. It was Alex Smith playing.
Yes.
Right? Because Mahomes was the rookie and he wasn't playing in the game. So, yes, you are correct. Dan is right. I was wrong in the beginning. It's just been in this Mahomes-Allen era when these teams have played each other that way. So, I mean, look, I feel lucky. I was with a lot of family this weekend. They were all like, that's the game of the – and they've got the Eagles playing the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And they're all saying to me, game of the week. And we're here. We're looking forward to it.
He didn't get to talk into a camera all week. He's fired up to talk.
Go.
Yeah, he is. He's ready.
Ready to go. And by the way, Dan and I spoke right before I hit a big number, and now here we are. My first video post the big number.
There it is.
And I'm still awake. Look at that. Haven't broken a hip.
It's getting late.
None of those things. Oh, I'm going to have to take a nap. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. All right. By the way, you guys heard from Jenna. Jenna's great. She's doing well. She's back in the studio. That's the way it was planned for this week. She was out here for the playoff game. And
This was my first round pick.
First round pick. Jenna got LA. Dan got the game of the year out
Nice
here.
weather.
Yeah.
Nice weather.
It's going to be pretty nice. So we're looking forward to it. Okay. Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah, they're shutting the lights off. Okay. For Dan Fetes and Jenna Cottrell, I'm Mike Catalana. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time on Buffalo Plus.